Rafael Devers failed to meet expectations for the 2023 baseball season. Find out how we can fix that for 2024 on today's episode of Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast, here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox straight to your feed Monday through Friday, right on your favorite podcast platform for free. Like I said, and you know what else is free? SiriusXM. You can download the SiriusXM app and they will have you covered for all things Boston Red Sox home broadcasts. Just search Red Sox within the app and you can get the broadcast free of every home game so you don't have to miss a single pitch of Red Sox baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome to another episode of the show where we like to see both the positive and the negative in players on the Boston Red Sox. The reality at the end of the day is that this Red Sox team is far from perfect and the players on it are far from perfect, but there is some semblance of hope for the future as the Boston Red Sox turn the tide and are making some serious coaching changes to their staff. At the heart of the Boston Red Sox right now is the face of the franchise in Rafael Devers. There is nobody else right now that is the face of the Boston Red Sox. The reality is that is what it is. He just signed a massive contract with Boston, and you can't really ask for much else if you are the guy that is going to be the leader of your team moving forward. He got a 10-year, $313.5 million contract. It starts in 2024, and it's the largest deal in team history. I mean, it's kind of wild to think about. And because of that, and the Red Sox committing to this big extension with him, I have pretty high expectations for Devers going into the 2023 season. I hoped that he would come out hitting the bat, really making a lot of things happen, having a season that was all-star caliber and being able to show that he deserves every piece of that extension. We've seen Devers at, what could arguably have been his best earlier on in his career, and we've seen the potential that he does have. And I was really hoping that he would get back to the potential. His batting average in 2019 was .311 with a .361 on base percentage. That was a fantastic year that he had. He also had a .555 slugging percentage that year. Those numbers are important because I've been hoping he could get back to that. When we saw glimpses of Devers back in 2019, I felt like at that point he was a player who was going to really show, the league that he's going to be a force for years to come. And he has certain pitchers he likes to dominate against. Garrett Cole, I am looking at you. And other times where he seriously struggles, certain teams that he just can't find his swing against. And I've wondered, when is that type of inconsistency going to come back to bite him? Is he the type of hitter who's just wishy-washy and is going to be like that throughout his career? Are there certain things he's just not going to be able to do very well? Watching Devers play, I always hope for more than what I actually get. And heading into the 2023 season, I was super excited about the extension because there's so much talent there, and he's the type of player who for years to come is, hopefully going to be a player who can continue to shine in multiple avenues. And his defense was kind of a downfall for him in past seasons. It was not the best. It wasn't horrid prior to 2023, but it was certainly not his strong suit. He was making a good amount of defensive errors. So I was concerned about his defense going into the season, but not to the point that it actually was at. It actually ended up looking worse than what I expected. My primary expectation for Devers, however, was about a 30 home run season, which he did in fact meet. So I will be diving into that part as well. But when you think of expectations for a player, it's hard to pinpoint numbers wise exactly what you want that player to accomplish. But instead, you can think about it more as, what do you expect this player to do to really help their team? What aspects of their game can they bring to the table that will put the Red Sox in a better position to succeed? And to me, one of the biggest things of value that Devers provides is his ability to be a power bat and hit home runs and really be able to just hit deep balls to the point where it's driving in runs, even if it's not going over the fence. And the Red Sox need that. They have a lot of contact hitters on the team right now. So they've always needed guys who could come in and be able to, lift and increase that power and help them to just hit more home runs and be a team that is a real threat with runners on the bases, because you do need a mix of contact and power hitters in your lineup. You need guys who could come in with a couple runners on base and trust that they can hit one over the fence. And that to me is what Devers provides. So if I'm looking at the standpoint of what is Devers' biggest trait that he can bring to the table, and did he bring that this year? Absolutely yes. But if you think of overall in the grand scheme of things, if he could have been more productive with his plate appearances to provide value, I say also yes. So, I had high expectations going into the year. I thought that he would have a better resume in terms of his versatility and what he could bring to the field in 2023. And I really thought that he was going to be the guy all season that Red Sox fans were going to look at and say, that's our guy who can do it all and is the guy we look upon to, carry this offense and carry this team. Was that the case? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Coming up next, I'm going to be doing a dive into really the season in 2023 that Rafael Devers had, areas of strength, areas of weakness, and just really going into what that meant overall for the Red Sox this year. Modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment you need. Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out their online form, and one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then Jase will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies, where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. You can also send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions anytime. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASEmedical.com. Anything that has a discount code is always worth it, especially when it comes to something like your health. Nothing is as important as your health, so you want to take advantage of that offer. Just go to Jase Medical and use that code LOCKEDON, and you will be so much better off. You know what else will make you so much better off? Downloading the Sirius XM app. It can get you the home broadcast of every Red Sox game all season long so that you don't have to miss a single pitch. So heading into the 2024 season, where we're expecting change and seeing active change from the Red Sox, I also expect a change in how the Red Sox perform. So with that being the case, you definitely won't want to miss the product on the field in 2024. Rafael Devers is the face of the Boston Red Sox, but did he quite meet the expectations put forth for him before the season started? Overall, no. I mentioned in the last segment that I had high expectations for him, knowing that he just signed this big extension with the Boston Red Sox. There's a lot of pressure on him, which I do understand. When a player signs a contract like that, it can take a toll on them mentally and emotionally, feeling like there's this constant pressure to perform well. So that to me is a factor why in other areas he might have not performed up to the level that fans wanted him to. I was looking at him primarily to hit home runs, which he did do, get himself on base, which he didn't do quite as much of, and be able to be just a positive vibe in the clubhouse for his teammates. That I truly feel like he did do. And then when you look at the overall picture of the contributions he made, I expected him to be the most valuable offensive player that the Red Sox had this year. And in reality, that wasn't the case. So, when you dive into the season he had, he ended it with a 271 batting average with 33 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases with a 351 on base percentage. I mean, having a 33 home run and 100 RBI season is awesome and, what you need from somebody like him. But the problem is, he still has a relatively high strikeout rate compared to his walk rate. In 2023, he struck out 19.2% of the time and walked 9.5% of the time. So he still isn't really taking his walks. This is a general issue for him. In 2022, he walked 8.1% of the time and struck out 18.6% of the time. So when you look at those types of numbers, it is a big gap between how often he strikes out and how often he walks. So he needs to get those numbers under wraps and be able to really say, I don't need to be as aggressive at the plate all the time. Like I can take pitches and I can be patient and not be as afraid to take walks, because there were plenty of opportunities this season where he could have taken a walk and didn't and swung, and it backfired on him. Another interesting stat for Devers that should be looked at is BABIP. That's a tongue twister. Try saying that 5 times fast. BABIP. I would mess up. So basically, this stat measures a player's batting average exclusively on balls hit into the field of play. So it basically removes outcomes that aren't affected by the opposing defense. This primarily is just home runs and strikeouts, or walks. Basically, any type of scenario where the opposing defense isn't involved some way in the play. So if a hitter goes 2 for 5 that day with a home run and a strikeout, that basically means they have a 333 batting average on balls in play. That player would be 1 for 3 on balls he put in play, because you take the home run out of that equation. And so he obviously got another hit of some sort that involved the opposing defense making a play. That's an important stat because it really measures how a player is actually doing, how they're spreading out their hits, if most of their hits really are just home runs or not. So in 2023, he finished the season with a 292 BABIP. So that basically means if you take out all the strikeouts and all the home runs and the few walks, he's making contact, at an average rate of a 292 percentage. So that is really what does it, what has kind of kept him under that 3 range in terms of his batting average is he doesn't get a lot of hits that aren't home runs. He is not a contact hitter, like I've been saying. And, the BABIP was very good in 2022. It was a 329, which means he was making contact with the ball more often than just at a home run rate. His strikeout rate again in 2022 was a little lower than 2023. But the hits that he was getting weren't all home runs. He still hit 27 home runs in 2022, relative to his 33 in 2023, but he was able to spread out those hits a little bit more and get hits that aren't exclusively home runs. And when you look at his slugging percentage, which is, basically just how many bases you're getting when you're getting hits or getting yourself on base. It's basically how productive are you being, when you're recording these hits or getting on base in some way. It doesn't include walks or hit by pitches. It strictly only includes hits. So when you're looking at slugging percentage, you want to think about, is it a single? Is it a double? Is it a triple? Those are what slugging percentage measures. How many of each of those are you getting? In 2023, that slugging percentage was 500. So he was finding that when he was, recording a hit to get himself on base in some way, other than a gift given by the pitcher, he was finding ways to get more bases. So there were doubles in the mix. That's pretty good. But if you look at the overall picture, Devers should be able to get more of those types of hits and not be so heavily based around home runs. And again, with the strikeouts being an issue, he overall had a decent season in 2023. Again, the 100 RBIs and the 33 home runs I'll never complain about, but there's other things in the middle that need to be tied up on the back end. Like, there are other players who what makes them an overall great player, if they want to eventually be a Hall of Fame player, is that they find themselves being able to do other things and cutting down on the strikeouts. We've seen quite a few players on the Yankees, like Giancarlo Stanton, and I'd even throw Aaron Judge a little bit into this category, but not as much, of players who know how to crush baseballs and hit home runs, but can't do as much in between. And for a team built the way the Boston Red Sox are, they need Devers to be able to do a mix of a lot of those different types of things. So you can easily look at his RBIs and his home runs and say, wow, that makes for a great season. But when you look at that all important BABIP stat, you know that everything else in between was kind of causing him to be in a little bit of a decline from what, we expect from Rafael Devers as fans. And like I said, again, he's naturally going to have higher expectations than everybody else on the team. And overall, he really did not have a bad season. But he does need to be able to, show that he's going to be able to be that guy for the future in a lot of different facets of the game. In 2023, with men in scoring position, he recorded 64 RBIs, and took 31 walks, 44 total hits he had in that situation, which is very good. with men on base, not necessarily in scoring position, he had 74 hits. So that's definitely telling too. He had 83 hits with the bases empty. So he seems to hit better when there are not people on the bases as much. So that's something I'd like to see him improve on too, is situational hitting and really being the guy that the Red Sox can trust to come through in those intense moments, and be that guy who the Red Sox can point to and say, yep, he's our guy. We want to see him at the plate with runners on second and third and 2 outs. I did not trust him as much in that spot this year. He still hit above average, with a batting average 271 batting average in 2023, and the average is about 259. So it's not like he was below average or anything like that in that sense. But he did struggle in certain areas, and that's why overall I feel like the expectations were a little bit higher than what he actually met. Now, how can that be fixed in 2024? Maybe a new hitting coach. Do the Red Sox bring in a new hitting coach that can really help hone in on his weaknesses and help him improve those alone? Does he focus more on hitting to all different aspects of the ballpark as opposed to just hitting for power? He really does need to focus on being able to be a little bit more of a threat that's not just a home run threat at the plate, because if you can only really hit home runs, it's so much easier for pitchers to figure you out and figure out what they should and shouldn't be throwing to you. So the more that he can hit other types of balls and be able to hit to all parts of the field and creating singles, doubles, and triples more to manufacture runs, the better off he's going to be. What are my expectations for Devers in 2024? I'm sure yours might be different from mine, but that's what I'm going to be touching on next. Are you ever in a pinch where you need last minute tickets for anything? Gametime has you covered for that. I've been in situations where there's a concert I really want to go to, and I didn't think I could go at first, and then I realized at the last minute that I could go. So I was able to go on Gametime and get tickets for low prices last minute, and it's fantastic because it saves you all that stress of buying tickets when you feel like you can't get them or they're going to be sold out. That's where Gametime can come in and have you covered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. The lowest price guaranteed part is so incredibly true. I have had so many great experiences with them, finding me the best deals on tickets for any sporting event or concert or anything of the sort you want to go to. Don't forget also to download the SiriusXM app on the App Store on your phone. They can get you the home broadcast of every Red Sox game. Just search Red Sox in the app, and you don't have to miss a single pitch of Red Sox baseball heading into 2024. And I mean, if I were you, I would not want to miss it. So download the SiriusXM app today, search Red Sox, and they will have you covered with the home broadcast of every game. Rafael Devers is a player who, for a long time now, will be the face of the franchise. There is just no other way to really put it. He is the guy now. They put a lot of money into extending him, and now they are expecting him to perform as a result. I'm a huge Rafael Devers fan overall. There are things he needs to work on, and being able to be a little bit more versatile of a hitter. But my expectations for him in 2024 are to have another 30-plus home run season. Hopefully he's able to get more than he had this past season. Hopefully generate more singles and doubles in 2024, and I expect him to be the best Red Sox offensive player. Now, this is, a tough generalization to really make because the Red Sox have so many talented players offensively, but I truly believe if he can adjust a couple things with his swing to make it so that he's more versatile. Imagine having a hitter who can hit 30 plus home runs, but also figured out a way to bat over 300 and generate and manufacture other types of hits, then he's basically unstoppable. And if I'm an opposing pitcher, I'm scared to face that. If I have runners on base, am I scared to face Devers sometimes? Yes, because you're afraid of him just cracking one through the center field wall and then 3 run scoring. So I don't really blame them from that standpoint. But if he, is up to the plate with nobody on base, he's not the type of hitter that I'm really as worried about, because I can figure out these are the types of pitches that he'll take deep, and these are the types of pitches that he'll strike out on. So I'm expecting him to fix those things. I think we can sit back look on the 2023 season and say it wasn't a huge disappointment for Devers by any means, but it wasn't as good as it could have been for him. So I'm looking at the situation and saying, if I'm Devers, I have to grow on these couple things. But then I can be the guy that everyone needs and wants me to be in 2024 and beyond. These narratives of, oh, the Red Sox made a mistake in signing Devers to that extension can be turned off. There doesn't need to be this chatter of, why would we sign somebody like that? Like, he's not even good. He can't do as much. He doesn't come through when he needs to. If he can adjust those couple things, I believe he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2024. I expect him to have a season in which he's increasing some of those other offensive stats and not striking out nearly as much. I think there will be a changed Devers in 2024, and he'll remind us of why he has that contract. And one of the biggest reasons why I feel this way is because now he has a full season under his belt after signing that extension. So, he now is more ready to face that pressure head on of having that distraction in the background of, I have to prove myself. And so now that he saw his performance in 2023, hopefully he can take that to fuel him moving forward to be a player who can handle that pressure and be able to do more at the plate to make it satisfactory for the fan base. On average, looking at his numbers, he's going to be okay. He's Rafael Devers. By no means did he put up numbers that were overly concerning in 2023. There were just definitely some things that could have been improved a little bit. And there were some big situations in game this season that the Red Sox really could have used Devers coming through, and it could have changed the outcome of certain games, and it did not. So I'm hoping he becomes a little bit more of Mr. Clutch in 2024. Some of that Justin Turner juju can rub off on him, and he can be that guy who can come through in those situations. That's the expectation I have for him. When somebody signs a big contract like that, you want to hold them to a higher standard because it's going to drive them more to succeed. And if the Red Sox are paying him that much money, then he should not be disappointing, and he should be able to put some of these things together. So my expectations are high. Let me know what yours are in the comments. I expect a game-changing season from him next year, a season that's going to see him just really going off at the plate. Let's hope that happens. It would be huge for the Red Sox. It would be an absolute difference maker for them. As always, keep the faith. Let's go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.